Good morning, everyone. Happy Election Day. Every day here in the House, we're focused on the people's priorities, jobs and accountability. But can we say the same for the White House? Let's start with the economy. The American people are still asking the question, where are the jobs? While the administration's working on their national energy tax that's going to destroy American jobs. Next week, the House will focus on solutions that will deliver a real all-of-the-above energy strategy to lower cost and to grow our economy. And then there's the IRS, which, after illegally targeting Americans for their political beliefs, violating their First Amendment rights, has apparently now lost 2 years' worth of Lois Lerner's emails. You know, the White House promised to cooperate, but did nothing. The White House, the president called this a phony scandal, yet who could possibly believe that they have lost 2 critical years' worth of emails for the central figure in this investigation? Then there's the VA, which needs bold reform, but the president has offered nothing. We're moving forward with some important short-term solutions, but they're no substitute for the long-term strategy that this department needs. Now let's move on to our borders. We're seeing a humanitarian disaster, one of the administration's own making. There's been a dramatic increase in the number of unaccompanied minors that are crossing our borders from Guatemala and Honduras and El Salvador. And the administration's actions have only served to encourage more illegal crossings. It's another situation that appears to have caught the administration flat-footed. And finally, let's look abroad. Now, at least one of the 5 Taliban commanders that was released played a key role in al-Qaeda's plans leading up to the attacks of 9/11. The White House thought the American people were going to cheer when the president released these terrorists. I think his misreading of the American people is fairly shocking. And with terrorists marching toward Baghdad, we've asked the president for a strategy to reverse the momentum and spread of terrorism. I heard a little bit about Iraq yesterday, but the White House has known for months about this situation in Iraq. And when you look, it's not just Iraq. It's Libya, it's Egypt, it's Syria. The spread of terrorism has increased exponentially under this president's leadership. And as you may recall, after the last election, I said that I hoped that the president would seize this moment and take the lead. And here we are, a year and a half later. You look at this presidency, and you can't help but get the sense that the wheels are coming off.
Mr. Speaker, David Petraeus, who many of your colleagues, maybe even you, have certainly credited with calming things down in Iraq, said yesterday that he does not think that the United States should be the Air Force for Shia militias or a Shia on Sunni Arab fight. Do you agree with that?
Until we know what the overall strategy is, we don't know what could be effective in reducing this violence. There's not one piece to this. And so I'm hopeful that the president today will outline a strategy for dealing not only with Iraq, but the spread of violence throughout the Middle East.
When you hear somebody like David Petraeus say, essentially, that the U.S. needs to urge caution on airstrikes, does that give you pause?
Until I understand what the overall strategy is, it's hard to say whether it's good or not. In and of itself, it's not the answer. In and of itself.
Mr. Speaker, Vice President Cheney said yesterday that rarely has the U.S. president been so wrong about so much at the expense of so many. Is it helpful to have Vice President Cheney weighing in on this debate?
Listen, he's an American citizen. He's entitled to his opinion.
Mr. Speaker, will the House be bringing up its highway trust funds package next week to replenish the fund?
I don't think so. I know that the Ways and Means Committee is they're having discussions about a package of pay-fors that would fill the gap for some number of months.
Just as a quick follow-up, Mr. Wyden over in the Senate has not really had a warm reception to the plan to use postal offsets. So are you concerned about finding something that can pass both houses?
I think the idea is to try to find a package that would plug this hole for 9 to 12 months. to make sure that the highway projects that are underway will continue.
Speaker Boehner, prior to Mr. Cantor's loss, there was a lot of optimism that putting forward some of those provisions that were struck down in the Voting Rights Act would be included in congressional bills. Well, how do you see the future of the Voting Rights Act?
I think there's conversations going on about what a renewal would look like given the court decision that came down last year. I think those conversations are going to continue.
Are you optimistic it'll occur?
I have no idea. You'll have to talk to those who are working on it.
Do you expect the final VA bill to be offset or to be deficit neutral and meet your cut-go principles?
I don't. I've got my doubts about that, but until the conference gets together and makes a determination about what needs to be done to hold the VA accountable and to ensure that there's care for those in these waiting lines, we'll have to see.
Mr. Speaker, given what appears to be unanimous opposition to boots on the ground in Iraq, is there a way for the United States now to do effective counterterrorism in Iraq?
Well, I think there is. And there was a discussion yesterday at the White House about some of those steps that could be taken and some steps that are being taken. But again, let's go back. It needs to be part of an overall strategy, not only for Iraq, but for the region in terms of how do we reduce the number of terrorists that are out there hurting Americans abroad, hurting our assets abroad, and frankly, building safe havens to organize and attack Americans here. This is a very serious problem, very serious.
On the missing IRS emails, Leader Pelosi just said what it tells her is that they need a new technology system at the IRS. What do you make of that?
They need somebody who will tell the truth.
Is there criminal wrongdoing here, do you think, on IRS?
Listen, I asked this a long time ago. I don't want to know who was going to be investigated. I want to know who was going to jail. This is outrageous. And the White House has not lifted a finger to help us get to the bottom of this. He owes the American people the truth about what happened at the IRS.
Mr. Speaker.
See you.